Howdy gamers, Old Gamer Guy here. Welcome to another Stellaris Console Edition video. It is the year 2384 and the PlayStation Network is still trying to clean up its economy after winning a war with the hierarchy of Bok. We took some space, we took some planets, we gained some bio trophies, and all of that threw our economy out of balance. We have deficits in several areas. I cleaned up some of that in the last video, but to start this video I'm going to enact a couple of edicts. For 14 years and 6 months, the drone campaign will increase our speed of manufacturing our PlayStation Network drone citizens, and then the improved energy initiative will lower our consumer goods upkeep and give us some extra research. I'm going to be building districts and other structures on planets where it makes sense to do so. I'm not going to show all of it, but for instance, on this planet, it makes sense to build agriculture districts, and I'm also going to prioritize our agriculture drones. I noticed that we have the ability to activate compliance protocols, which would help our stability, but that would reduce resources, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade both of our fleets. We've got one fleet in the Sassen system and one fleet up here in the Brocken system, so I'm going to go ahead and get them started upgrading.
Construction complete.
We've been taking a little space up here in the upper right hand corner. There were a few planets that were not claimed, so we claimed the space around those planets. And now there are some places where we can build some mining stations to help with our energy credit situation, although our energy credits are okay for right now. But our food deficit and our consumer goods deficit, and then we also have a deficit in a couple of our specialty resources. So every once in a while I'm going into the market and buying a few things. This is another one of those situations where I'm not going to show it every time I do it. Just be aware that I'm doing it, because we do have a fairly sizable deficit in food, especially right now, but also consumer goods. And you don't want to run out of anything. You want to keep everything. You don't like to see those red numbers at the top of the screen. So yeah, I'm not going to show this every time, but I'm definitely making use of the market.
Construction complete.
One of my construction ships now needs something to do, and I noticed up here in this empty space, this unclaimed space, there is another wormhole in the Vural system. So I'm going to need to build several outposts to kind of make a path over to that wormhole. I don't want to leave it unexplored. It could be a wormhole that an enemy empire could use to warp suddenly over into our space, or near our space anyway. So I'm going to put an outpost here, and then another one here, another one here, and here, and I'll need to save up some influence to actually make an outpost by the wormhole. This is another situation that I probably don't have to show every time, but I'm renewing my deals with the artisans and the curators. Those are 10-year deals. We earned another tradition point, and we are working on the versatility tree. Actually, just barely getting started on the versatility tree. We could reduce our housing usage by 10%, or we could unlock the diplomacy to form a federation, but we're already in a federation. So the housing thing would be more relatively useful. Here's another situation that I probably don't have to show every time, but it's a deal where we are importing exotic gases, and once again I'm going to renew this deal with the cheapest option. I noticed that my planets did not have any sort of a focus in terms of what they do, so I decided to go through and remedy that situation. Some planets are production focused, some manufacturing, and some research. I'm not going to show every bit of that. Here's a little bit of resettlement of population, but I'm showing this because advancing time after doing that made our instability go away. It will return, rest assured. One of our governors stopped functioning. That's unfortunate. We are machines, so we don't really have lifespans exactly, but sometimes our various units will stop functioning, so I needed to recruit another governor. I think I chose the one that's second from the top there. We got some communications from the DERP coalition and also the hierarchy of Bok. They are closing their borders, so I guess our truce with the Bok has now ended, or maybe it's about to end, but they are closing their borders, so they are becoming hostile again. So it's probably a good idea to make sure that our defenses are, at least decent. I'm not too worried about the Bok, but they are still a larger empire than I would like, so I'm going to upgrade these two choke point space stations into citadels.
Technological acquisition successful.
We gained some technology, but more importantly, we now have some unspent trait points, so we can add a trait to our PlayStation Network drones. So looking at those PlayStation Network citizens, we need to, I guess, create a template. This is just like when you create your species at the beginning of the game, really, except you earn some points along the way through the game. So we have a couple of choices that are basically positive and 3 that are negative. Just like at the beginning of the game, if you take something negative, you might be able to balance it out with 2 positive choices, but I think what makes the most sense is to get more amenities from our jobs, because we have instability, we have unhappiness on our border planets, and maybe some amenities for our citizens will help make them stop whining quite so much and keep them a little bit more happy. We earned another tradition point, and we will continue down the versatility tree. We have 3 choices here now. We could create a federation, which we don't really need to do. Like I said, we could decrease our upkeep of our jobs, and we could decrease our resettlement costs. Looking back at the footage now, the resettlement cost makes more sense to me, but I chose the upkeep of the jobs for some reason. But never mind that. We're moving on to another subject, and I basically was getting confused because I have 2 planets with the same name, and whenever I was having to move resettle citizens, I was getting confused, so I decided to rename one of them. So now I still have 2 planets with the same name, but one of them is spelled differently. This is the wormhole I was talking about earlier in the Vural system. So now we have taken the system and we can check to see where this wormhole goes. But before that can happen, we get some bad news from Baki Grum. The corrupted drone networks on Baki Grum have started to interfere with the operation of our functional units. Their signals are drowning out those of the core intelligence, resulting in sluggish and sometimes erratic behavior. So now there is a drone signal interference modifier added for 120 months, which sucks, and it lowers our stability by 30. So that's unfortunate. I thought our instability was taken care of over on Baki Grum. I could implement compliance protocols, but instead I'm going to build 2 more sentinel posts. So back over to that wormhole in the Vural system. I'm glad I investigated this thing to see where it goes, because it goes all the way over to the other side of the galaxy and into DERP Coalition space. So they're not a huge threat, but they're definitely hostile. So I'm glad we're aware of this wormhole, and we're going to go ahead and start upgrading this station in the Vural system. In other bad news, our energy credit production has gone back into a deficit situation. We still have a couple of active edicts going, but I remembered that there was another one that we could get started on that would help our energy situation. It is the capacity overload that will increase our energy credit production for 14 years. Meanwhile, thinking about this space, I don't want to put a fleet up here, but we need to defend it in some way. So I'm thinking these 2 systems need to have upgraded stations. We have a wormhole in this other system, and then we need to build at least 2 more to close off choke points. So we're going to need about another 5 stations up there, which means we need to dismantle some. I'm going to go ahead and dismantle this one. Downgrade it, not dismantle it. Downgrade it. And then I'll start downgrading some more in our main area of space. I might change my mind about some of these and re-upgrade them. But for now, we will dismantle a few of these that are down toward the Bok. I'm not really worried about the Bok. I'm more worried about the Bok than I am about the DERP Coalition. But I think our 2 citadels and one of our fleets, and maybe just the 2 citadels, will be able to hold off the Bok, especially if I build some defense stations around them. Our big threats going forward will be the Cloud and the Sacred Cyrilan. So anyway, I'm freeing up a few stations that I can upgrade elsewhere. So we'll go back up to this space and start upgrading some of these. The Cyrilan and the Cloud are friendly. They're relatively friendly to us for now. We've been friendly with them all along, but they are definitely a rival federation, so I can't just leave this space completely undefended. I don't know if I want to build stations in every one of those choke point type systems, but for now we'll go ahead and start upgrading about 5 of these stations in this little blob of PlayStation Network space at the top of the map. Meanwhile, I noticed another wormhole in our space that we haven't explored, so we don't know where this thing goes. You can tell I really pay attention to every detail because this wormhole has been in our space for a long, long time, and I never did figure out where it went. So I sent my fleet, one of my fleets, to check it out. And it turned out that this wormhole is not a big deal like the other one. The other one goes over into Derp Coalition space, but this one just goes to another place in our own space. So I don't have to worry about this. Once again, we earned another tradition point. We will continue down the versatility tree, and once again, resettlement. Lowering our resettlement cost would be the smart thing to do, I think. And so, inexplicably, I did not do it again. That final option lowers the cost of demolishing a building. So I went ahead and got the Federation thing, which I don't need. So I don't know why I'm making these moves. Never mind that. Let's move on. I'm renewing our curator and our artisan deals again. Our improved energy initiative edict has run out, and our drone campaign edict has run out, and our deal to import exotic gases has run out, so I'm going to go ahead and renew that.
Construction complete.
And then I think I'm going to go back into our edicts, renew the drone campaign. That will speed up our pop assembly speed for our PlayStation drones. And I don't think I'm going to renew the other one, though, the improved energy initiative. I think that name is kind of misleading, to be honest. And so much time passed without anything exciting happening that we earned another tradition point. We will go back into the versatility tree, and once again, instead of lowering our resettlement cost, we will lower our market fee, which isn't bad, I admit. So if you look at the top of the screen, our economy is actually back in decent shape. Who knows how long that will last? Hopefully it will last for a while, but I think this is a good spot to end this video. Things are going relatively okay. We'll pick it up right here in the next video, but for now, as always, thanks for watching.